He's hunting a 300 million dark web drug dealer.
Approximately 2015, Staten Island, United States.
10 years ago, chat, a decade ago. Fuck, is that Uber Eats? Yeah, I thought that was Uber Eats.
It's late at night when Anthony Coronati, a fitness fanatic from the US, is on his way to pick up a package of illegal drugs he bought on a bodybuilding forum. When he arrives at his drop address, he notices that the package is a lot bigger than usual. When he picks it up, it rattles more than expected.
It's a bomb. It's a bomb.
The situation feels off, and instead of his usual routine, he decides to take the safest route back home. Coronati puts the box into his backpack and walks a few blocks until he finds a taxi he can wave over.
That's the first red flag, you know?
The cab then drives him to an empty street a few miles away, where he pays in cash and gets out of the car. From there, he slips into a blind spot in a narrow alley and enters an old building. Inside, he quickly changes some of his clothes, stuffs his backpack into a trash bag, and steps out through a different exit. Lastly, he simply walks down the street until he reaches his apartment. When he arrives home, he places the box on his bed, grabs his cutter, and opens it. But for whatever reason, it's not full of steroids. Instead, it's packed with dozens of supplement pill jars. He grabs one of them, opens it, and takes out a pill. It's colorful and has a picture stamped on it. That's when he realizes that instead of getting steroids, he was sent at least a few kilos of most likely MDMA pills. Coronati is extremely confused and decides to contact Liston Is Here, his online dealer, to ask about the package. Only a few minutes later, he gets a response to his email. Liston Is Here tells him that he accidentally sent the wrong package, and that if Coronati reships it to a certain address, he'll pay him for the troubles. Coronati, believing that this would be a one-time affair, agrees to reship the package to what he thinks is a simple customer. However, what he doesn't know is that this wouldn't be a one-time thing, and that he's just been recruited into an international dark web drug cartel. An organization that sent tons of drugs throughout the world, made tens of millions of dollars, and created an almost perfect online cartel. This is the story of Liston Is Here. This video is brought to you by NordPass, but more on that later.
I thought he was going to be talking about it. Never mind.
Early January 2017, North Carolina, United States. It's late at night, and a bunch of DEA agents are currently surveilling a woman who they suspect to be a dark web drug-dealing legend called Liston Is Here. You see, at this point in time, Liston Is Here is a well-known figure in dark web drug circles. He's been active since at least 2012 and has been selling through Silk Road 1, 2, Alpha Bay, and a bunch of other dark web markets. He specializes in pills, especially MDMA and benzos, but occasionally also sold other substances such as steroids.
Wait, this is such a great video to react to because we literally just played Schedule 1. What are the chances? What are like the timing? It's perfect.
Or K. But back to the surveillance team. They've been watching the suspect for days, hoping for her to slip up. However, the woman seems to know what she's doing. She keeps a low profile, and other than packages which are suspected to be coming from her, the authorities have no evidence to arrest or search her house. But this night, something was different. One of the officers sees her getting rid of suspiciously large trash bags. This sparks his curiosity, and he decides to get his hands on those bags. But when he looks at the clock, he notices that the woman carefully timed her action because the garbage truck is only minutes away from their street, and if he doesn't act now, any potential evidence will be gone forever.
How long did I stream today? I've been streaming for 2 hours and 24 minutes right now. He's fucking... The running animation is so funny. It's so good though, like Netflix type of good. Trying to get the packages. It's weird how they don't have faces though. It's like Slender Man. They all look like Slender Man.
The Italian postal police claim to have broken up a cyber espionage ring that
It's
has
British?
allegedly...
It's now the middle of the night, and while his suspect is asleep, the agent starts to go through her garbage. It seems like a complete
got a gas
waste of
mask on.
time at first, but when he gets to the second bag, he finds a yellow sparkling substance, and it's a lot. In particular, it's 2.5 kilos of MDMA
Ooh,
dust.
now they got
And
evidence.
this changed everything.
Now they got the evidence, chat.
January 18th, 2017, Buncombe County, North Carolina. This is Amanda Trull, a 31-year-old woman from North Carolina. She's currently speaking with an employee at the Buncombe County Steakhouse and asks him for a reservation the next day. It's for her mother's 67th birthday, and Trull, who hasn't seen her in a while, wants to make the celebration memorable. Trull's
that's
father
cute.
has been absent from her life since she was 5, and even though this wasn't easy, her brother and mother
Was it-
were always there
Until when are you streaming today? I'll react to this video and then do a Kahoot, and then I don't know, probably like another hour maybe.
for her, supporting Trull throughout her many problems and helping her when she needed it the
Alcohol and
most.
cigarettes. Oof.
The next day,
Oh, she looked
Trull
fine as hell.
starts her day in a good mood. She's happy to see her mom again. But around 4 p.m., just as she's putting on her shoes to leave, she hears a bunch of chaotic shouting in her apartment complex.
What the fuck?
Suddenly, the door bursts open and a
What
team of
the
officers
fuck?
rush in to arrest her. Meanwhile, it's almost 7 p.m., and Trull's mother is still sitting in the restaurant completely alone.
Let her
She's
go
been
to
waiting
the
for almost
restaurant.
2 hours and has been calling Trull every few minutes, but nobody has picked up.
Bedroom,
She
secondary,
thinks that her
observatory hall, or
own
stay
daughter
hall?
has forgotten her birthday dinner, while in
stomach,
reality,
stomach.
she's being interrogated at the police station.
Oh, she's the one who
Even
took the
worse,
MDMA
at Trull's
dust.
apartment, the agents find over 59 kilos of MDMA, 14
Shit.
kilos of ketamine, and a bunch of
Vi,
other
are you going?
illegal drugs.
Thank you for joining the stream, though.
However, during the interrogation,
Thank you for joining the
Trull
stream.
reveals something unexpected. According to her, she's not the person behind Liston is Here. Instead, she's just a pawn in a bigger operation, claiming that she's merely one of many drug reshippers
now, but
working
because-
for Liston.
Because she has said that, she's gonna get hunted down and killed because she's just revealed to the police that it's not her, and she's gonna get killed now. These people are relentless. You're going to bed? Okay, well, good night. Thank you for joining the stream and thank you for helping me in schedule one. Good night. Have a nice sleep. Thank you. Sleep well.
You see,
Well-
a lot of dark web drug markets have vendors selling products, but these vendors don't always ship their products directly to customers. Instead,
it's a
they
smart-
use various methods to obscure the connection between themselves and the buyer, one of which is using reshippers. Reshippers, like Trull, receive drug shipments from the source or another reshipper, who then instructs them to repackage the shipment and to send it to a new address, either to the customer or another reshipper. This way,
They hook
authorities
them
can't
in without
directly
even
trace
knowing.
the shipments back to the
That's
source,
crazy.
allowing the masterminds behind the operation to remain anonymous. Apparently, Trull had been going through financial difficulties a few years ago, and someone called Benjamin Roten introduced her to the reshipping business. Eventually, Roten also put her into contact with the supposed ringleader, who only went by Liston is Here.
You too. Thank
Trull explained that she could earn between $800 and $1,400 per shipment, and that he'd
Ooh.
send her 4 to 7 shipments per month.
Oh, wait.
each
How
with
much is that? How much is that? 1,400 times, like, say this is the most she's making. 1,400 times 7. I gotta see this. 1,400 times 7. She's making like 10 grand a month. Wow.
Specific instructions on what to do with them. Nevertheless, this quickly escalated into many more shipments, with Trull's
Holy.
affidavit stating that she sent over 4,200 packages to addresses all over the US, Canada, Jamaica, and even Ireland.
Ireland in the
It's
UK.
unclear
Oh my
what
gosh.
happened to Benjamin Roten, but Trull decided to cooperate with the police and revealed that one address stood out.
Staten Island.
A house in Staten Island. This address had both sent and received dozens of shipments from Trull, suggesting that it was the next piece of Liston's criminal network. But harmful substances aren't the only things sold on dark web marketplaces. Compromised accounts, sold through so-called dumps, are a massive part of the illegal dark web economy.
Yo, welcome to the stream, Naruto.
And, as you might expect, these credentials are bought by fraudsters and hackers who use them to access private accounts
This is why the
for
dark
malicious
web
purposes.
is like so smart.
However, it's not just individuals who are at risk. Most people reuse the same email and password across multiple accounts, including their workplace logins. This means hackers can take the same credentials someone uses for Netflix
PayPal.
and use them to access their work account, potentially compromising an entire company, all because of one careless employee. And this is where today's sponsor,
imagine
NordPass,
being
comes
that
in.
employee, though.
NordPass is a password
gosh.
manager that helps you generate
I hear
and
you.
store unique passwords, pass keys, documents, and
Look,
credit
look,
cards.
as much as I love
It enables
NordVPN,
passwords
not
to remain
today.
a single click
At least he
across
shows how
different
long
devices.
this sponsor
And
is.
if the worst happens, NordPass will alert you if any of your details appear in a data dump. So, stay safe online and
stay
use
safe online.
code THINKER at nordpass.com/thinker to get 20% off or a free
20% off?
3-month
Oh my
trial
gosh.
of NordPass Business. No credit card is required.
How are we gonna buy it then? Fucking magic. Okay. Oh wow, it's real life now.
March 1st, 2017, Staten Island.
Wow,
It's early in
did
the
he animate
morning,
this?
and agents of the New York Drug Enforcement Strike Force have 4.5 kilos
Holy
of
shit, he's good
MDMA
animating.
tablets in their car. They're on the way to an abandoned house where they deposit the package and tell the U.S. Postal Inspection Service to confirm the deposit on their systems. Then they wait until someone comes to pick up their package. A few hours later, a man arrives at the home and picks up the package. And once he comes out of the gate, a bunch of undercover police officers jump into action and arrest him.
Dang.
The man is identified as Anthony
He was the one who picked up the
Coronati, a
steroids,
name
right?
that is interestingly also associated with a fraud case from 2014, where someone called Anthony Coronati,
It might not be
and
the same
also
guy.
from Staten Island, was operating a hedge fund called Bid to Ask LLC. But instead of investing people's money, he simply took it and used it for his own personal expenses, such as plastic surgery and trips to the Caribbean. Either way,
Fair enough.
Coronati also claims to be working for someone named Liston, insisting that his entry into the reshipping business began with a failed steroid purchase a few years
it
ago,
was the same guy.
followed by Liston's calculated manipulation and the promise of
that's so sad.
easy money.
So sad he got manipulated into
Interestingly,
it.
he mentions that he purchased the steroids via the clear web and initially contacted Liston not through Onion emails, Wicker, or PGP-based messages, but through a bodybuilding forum on which Liston gave the email listonishere@gmail.com as a contact method.
Should I try and email it
You
that
see,
email?
I was able to find some profiles of Liston on dark web market databases, and on his Silk Road 2.0 profile, he lists an Onion email address, indicating that the Gmail Coronati gave to the authorities was something created by Liston before he even knew how to properly hide his identity through anonymity-based protocols. This means that, thanks to Coronati's email, the police now had a direct link to whoever was behind the Liston usernames. Even better, they now also had 2 compromised members from Liston's organization.
I feel kinda
and
bad
a
for them, though,
bunch
'cause
of
they got, like,
incoming
manipulated
packages
into it,
they
you know,
could
it's not their
trace
fault.
right back to the source. And almost all of Liston's packages originated from the same place, the United Kingdom city of Coventry.
Oh, UK? Coventry? The guy said
October
Coventry.
2017, Coventry, United Kingdom.
Not expecting that.
It's around 12 a.m. when Banmeet Singh, a 33-year-old Indian man, goes into one of Coventry's post offices. He's got a few packages, and they're addressed to an apartment in North Carolina in the U.S. The teller glances at the package and sees that the return address seems to be completely fabricated. However, he doesn't really care and takes it in. The
Fair
man
enough.
pays for the package and leaves. But what he doesn't know is that across the street, officers from the UK's National Crime Agency, in cooperation with US DEA agents, are surveilling his every step. They believe that he is, in
shit.
fact, the mastermind behind the Liston organization.
Ooh.
Most likely, a mixed team of law enforcement officers from the UK and the US began to surveil a bunch of
I've been
post
to Coventry,
offices in
Chad. I might have met
Coventry.
him.
This team then made a list of people who displayed suspicious patterns, such as sending packages every day while rotating post offices, outfits, and most importantly, sending
Outfits.
packages without proper return addresses.
And that was him.
Eventually, the police also put Banmeet Singh on this surveillance list, and once a package linked to him arrived at the address of a compromised reshipper, law enforcement was able to confirm Singh as the person behind Liston. Either way, once the authorities designated him as the new main suspect,
He looks like
they
a nice
found
guy.
a bunch of weird inconsistencies in his finances. You see, he had a bunch of companies under the Antilia name, but none of them made any money, and yet he was somehow living a decent lifestyle. The task force in the UK then quickly alerted the authorities in the US, and given the amount of drugs and money that was moving through Singh, aka Liston's, organization, the US agencies decided to make their next move. April 26, 2019, Coventry, United Kingdom.
It's been going on for like
It's around
2
4
years.
a.m. while two blacked-out cars are speeding through Coventry's empty streets. Inside are a handful of armed special forces, and they're on the way to Singh's residence.
Oh shit.
All of them know that the operation must go as fast as possible. Singh could wipe the data from his computers in a few seconds, and if this happened, a big chunk of evidence could disappear forever.
Hey,
When
Singh,
they
you better
reach their
do it, bro.
destination,
Be quick,
the doors
be
are
quick.
thrown open and 5 officers jump out.
police don't
They
play
immediately
around.
run to the door and smash it open, which wakes up Singh.
Okay, are the
But before
guns
he
like
realizes what's going
useful?
on, the first officer is in his room, and Singh is staring down the barrel of a gun. Singh is arrested without any resistance, and thanks to the officer's speed, he wasn't able to get rid of any evidence.
Ooh.
Inside his house, law enforcement finds a bunch of evidence, but most importantly, they find a wallet with 3,838 Bitcoin on one of his devices, and after analyzing its transaction
Shit,
history,
holy hell.
they linked most of the Bitcoin to Liston's business. Either way, Singh was now on his way to a British jail, while on the other hand,
British jail.
the US began its battle to get him extradited. But for over 4 years, nothing happened. And after Singh lost all his appeals, he was extradited to Ohio in March of 2023.
Oh, recently
There,
then.
he spent another year in prison until he finally agreed to a plea deal in 2024. And
150
according to his
million.
plea, he promised to forfeit all of his Bitcoin, which should have amounted to over $300 million.
Jesus.
But this is where it gets interesting again.
300 million.
Transaction logs showed that he had received at least 8,000 Bitcoin from selling drugs, but Singh insisted that he only had access to 3,838, which had indeed been confiscated during the raid in 2019. However, there were allegations that he sent large chunks of this money to whoever was behind the Gmail account going by aka.parvinder@gmail.com.
He's been like in prison for 4 years.
As it turned out, this email belonged to Parvinder Singh, Banmeet Singh's brother. And even though there's no proof at all, it's extremely likely that some or maybe all of the missing 4,000-something Bitcoin were sent to Parvinder, either as a security measure or because Parvinder was actively part of the Liston cartel.
Wait,
And
how
at
much?
that moment,
We got to see how much is 4,000 Bitcoin. Holy shit!
4,000 Bitcoin would be around $150 million.
He already said it, but holy shit!
April 25th, 2024,
Oh my gosh.
somewhere in India.
Somewhere in India.
After a bunch of flights and driving, Banmeet Singh finally arrives at his family's house in India. There, he's greeted by his brother, Parvinder, his father, and a few other family members. They eat, talk, and have a good time to celebrate his release. But minutes after they go to sleep, the house is raided by the Indian police,
This
who
guy
arrest
can't catch
Banmeet's
a
brother,
break.
Parvinder.
This guy,
Just 4
this
days
family
later, the
cannot
police
catch a break.
conduct a follow-up raid at a new house in Haldwani, where Banmeet had relocated after the first raid. There, authorities discover a device containing over 268 Bitcoin,
Oh my
which
gosh.
they immediately
Give
link
me
to
like a
Banmeet
1
Singh's
Bitcoin, it won't
activities as
hurt.
Liston. This, of course, leads to Banmeet's arrest, who landed in jail once again. The only difference was that at this point, both of the brothers were in jail. One thing that's really interesting is that on the ED's press release, they state that the investigation was started because of a request by the US, which could indicate that the US wasn't going to let Singh get the other half of his Bitcoin and indirectly wanted to arrest his brother Parvinder as well.
Yeah, he ain't
Other
gonna come out.
rumors even suggest that the Bitcoin had been planted by Indian authorities because the US simply wanted Parvinder in prison. But this is a far reach, although not impossible. Either way, the trial for this matter is currently underway, and even though Banmeat already spent time in English and American prisons, he and his brother could face another sentence in India. And, of course, the Indian authorities want to confiscate the remaining 3,600 bitcoins, which now has a value of almost 300 million US dollars. If they'll ever get them is a good question, and if Banmeat and Parvinder even have the remaining bitcoin is another issue.
I don't think they're gonna get them. Dang, was that the end of the video? W video, the animations on that were insane, chat. Did you guys enjoy it?